So let's start. So once again, hello everyone. My name is Pavel. I'm the developer of the game Aggressors Ancient Rome. I hope that's why you are all here. We will today cover the diplomacy and trading. There is a slight difference in what we initially announced that we will stream today about diplomacy and home politics, but when we were preparing the stream, it was kind of clear that we should separate these two things. So I will talk about the home politics next time, but on the other hand, we've added to the stream part about the trading. Well, again, like last time, my colleague is here. Her name is Helimadora. You can find her in chat. You can ask questions during the chat. I will also be available for answering questions during the stream. I need to point out one thing. We've had a pretty big thunderstorm here, and the connection was down, and it seems like there are some kind of problems with the connection. So if there is anything like lags or even disconnection, then I'm really sorry. It's not our fault, but hopefully it will work fine. If not, then we will need to do it another time. Okay, so let's begin. You should now see the. You should now already see the game. And let's jump directly to the game. If you experience any kind of lag, please let me know, because I might not be even aware of that. Yeah, I already. Thank you, Surtur. Yeah, I already turned it off, and I should probably turn off also all the notifications on Skype. Right. So here we are. That's our game. I hope that you can see it. I'm pretty sure that most of you are already familiar with how the game looks like and how to get to particular windows. But I will, just to be sure, I will just cover it once again very quickly. So the most important windows for diplomacy is so-called political map. You can either go there when you click on the state window and then to foreign relations, or you can click on the big button in the lower left corner, which is the foreign relations window, and it will bring you to the same window. This window, you can see that it's a political map, and with a number of banners. These banners represent the factions in the game which we have already met. So it means that those might not be all the factions in the game. In this case, I think they are, but if we have not clear image of how the map looks like, it might come up with just a subset of all the players in the game. Once we hover over the banners, we can see that it shows tooltips. Not just with the name of the faction, but also with many other progress bars or indicators. The first one is attitude, which is basically the indicator how the player, we are just investigating how the player likes us. The second indicator is the army moral. It's actually, guess this term. Okay, sorry. The army moral, which is basically the army moral of our army, of our soldiers when they need to fight against this enemy. And then there are 4 different indicators of comparison between us and the player in question. You can see that there is population, economy, power, and country size. In this particular case, you can see that we are doing really well. because the Celtic tribe is almost dead. But if we will hover over the Roman Republic banner, you can see that they are a bit lower on the population. We have well, we are lower on the population, but we have stronger economy, a bit more power, and also the country size is bigger. By the way, this is the game I was playing like 1 month ago, and it was constant struggle, to be honest. I'm playing as Epirus Kingdom, and it's my favorite faction. We were able to survive on the Sicily island. We lost the south part of Italian peninsula, but we were also able to survive here. As you can see on the political map, we are already in a serious relationship with Bosporan Kingdom, which is Federation. I will talk about it in a minute. And also in confederation with Ptolemaic Empire. I will also cover it very soon. You can see that we are in war with a number of factions in the western part of the map, and Carthage is currently in peace with us. So we know what is political map, and let's now go to the diplomacy window. Anytime you click on a banner on this political map, you get to the diplomacy window. For those who already played the game and want to know some kind of shortcut without too much clicking, you can also get to diplomacy window once you just right click on a tile which is owned by the particular player you want to talk with. So you can see in tooltip it's RDA, I right click and I'm straight away in the diplomacy window. So what the diplomacy window offers us, if we are in the diplomacy window with a faction which is in war, which is for example the Roman Empire, you can see that there are not so many options. We have the same indicators we saw already in the tooltip. We can see the political map of that faction, so we can now see if we click on that mini map, we can see how the Roman Republic is doing, considering all the relations, and then we can sign peace or offer to sign peace. That's pretty much it. We can also go to the army moral window, which is something what is not really related to the diplomacy itself. I will briefly cover it in like 15 minutes, but we already talked about it in the last dev stream. So let's get back to a faction we are currently in peace with, and you can see that the number of options here is much higher. So what we can do here, we can obviously declare war. We can demand peace cancellation with another country. What this means is that it displays all the factions with which we are, and also this particular opponent is in contact and also is in peace. So you can see that RDA is now in peace with Macedonia and Pontus, and we might require to or ask them to cancel the peace. What factors are involved in this calculation, I will also cover during this stream. Then there are so-called treaties. There is altogether 11 different treaties, and these treaties are mutual, which means that whatever we sign with the opponent or potential partner, it has an impact on both sides the same way. So we can divide these 11 different treaties to 11 different treaties to 3 different groups. The first one would be city visibility, tile visibility, map item info, and unit visibility. That's kind of a, let's say, the simple treaties, and this is like a first step in building a trust between you and your partner. I would always use I will use the word opponent. So this is RDA is right now our opponent. So we have this first group of these 4 different treaties, and City visibility is pretty clear what it does. So we will see all the cities of the opponent, and the opponent will see all the cities which we have. Then there is tile visibility, which is pretty self-explanatory. Map item info, which means that we will see the properties of all the units, and unit visibility, which means that we will basically see all the units, even the vessels and basically everything what the opponent has has and use. So this is the first group, and most of these things are not really that important. The important one is definitely city visibility, because that will allow you to trade with your opponent. But the rest, it's more about building trust. So each of them is like a step forward in building the relationship, building up the relationship. Then there is the second group. It's already kind of a bit more advanced. It's trade routes, supply support, map exchange, homeland movement, and road usage. I would just like to point out here, because I don't want to forget, like all the controls, UI controls in the game, everything has a tooltip. So you can read whatever it does always when you hover over, and we also have the so-called hints in this top or upper right corner of the screen. So you can see the tooltip, and then there is the hint, which is a bit more detailed, and you should find out what this is about. First of the in this group, so-called trade routes. It's important to understand that this is not about establishing trade route between you and your opponent. I will come back to the trade routes later. This is basically a treaty which will allow your opponent to have a trade route with another player through your country. So let's say now we are talking with RDA, and the RDA has a business partner which is behind or in the map. He's kind of on the opposite side where the RDA is, and the RDA have two options. The first one is that they will basically have the trade route around us, or if they will sign the trade routes treaty, they can send their traders through our country, which makes it for them more cheap. Then there is the second treaty in that group. It's called supply support. We already covered the supply management feature in the last stream. So if anyone didn't see that, I highly recommend to look at it as well. Basically, every unit needs supplies, and once it's out of supplies, it might get damaged, or might even desert, might disband. So this is something what is essential if you want your units to move further from your country. There are so-called suppliers which might eventually be able to provide these supplies to your units, but there is also this supply support treaty. This supply support treaty basically means that the opponent, we agreed upon this, will provide the supply support for our units. So if I will go back to the map, RDA is here. This is the capital, and let's say we would disembark somewhere in this area. We can keep the supplier here like a vessel, or we can agree or sign the supply treaty with RDA, and this means that they will provide supplies from the capital, which is definitely more secure, because our ship can be destroyed by enemy vessels. So that's the if you have, guys, any questions, just please ask straight away. I'm happy to answer those questions even during the stream. So the next one is map exchange. This is also pretty self-explanatory. So whatever I see, the opponent will see, and the other way around. Then there is homeland movement, which will allow our opponent's units to go through our country, our land, And if we will allow the road usage, it will also take advantage of the bonuses which the roads like dirt road and paved road gives us. So if this is also based on a trust, so a homeland movement is something like, yeah, okay, you can go through our land, but but because of you cannot use really the bonuses, it would take too long, so they will not really go to through your country, only in a very, let's say an emergency case. If we will allow also road usage, they will move across our country as we do, so it's kind of a step forward in the relationship. And there are these two, that's the last group, and those are military pacts. The first one is called Defense Pact, and it means that whenever someone declares war to us, the opponent will declare war to this, let's call him aggressor, and the other way around. So if someone declares war to our opponent, we will declare war to the aggressor as well. The important thing to understand is that this cannot be reconsidered. So this happens automatically. There is no way how you can say, okay, I don't want to go into the war. It's a design choice. It's not a mistake. It's basically because of otherwise this would have no meaning. So if you are not sure, you trust your opponent to such an extent that you are willing to go to war on his side, then you shouldn't sign this pact at all. And then there is this Brothers in Arms, which is basically kind of attacking pact or offensive pact, which means that whenever we declare war to someone, the opponent will join us, or when the opponent declares war, we will join him. So those are the treaties, and now let's talk about a bit more advanced stuff. There are other ways how you can progress in the relationship with another player, and that's called federation and confederation. We already, if we will go back to the political map, you can see that we have federation here and confederation with the Ptolemaic Empire. What's the difference and what is that for? So the confederation itself, it's the first step in formation of or forming the superstate. So this means that that two players create a superstate where one represents the whole structure. In confederation, all the players are independent, so it means you can see that when I click on these units of Ptolemaic Empire, I can see all the details. I can see what's the attack, I can see what are the improvements, etc., etc. But I cannot do anything. I mean, there are no actions allowed, and even the influence is not allowed in the confederation, so I cannot influence my confederation partner. So this is pretty much independent state, and they are in charge of their own economy. They are in charge of their own army. The only thing what we are in charge for both of us is the foreign policy, which means that if we, for example, declare war, we are Epirus, and this is the member of our confederation. If we will declare war to Carthage, then Ptolemaic Empire will follow. There is no, that's simply mandatory. They cannot do anything else, so they will be in war with Carthage as well. The only way how they can, let's say, how they can not follow our foreign policy is that they will revoke this confederation. That's the confederation thing, the confederation pact, and then there is the federation pact. Federation pact is even more bound. The binding is much more tight between two players, and if you look at the political map, you can see the difference. The difference is that Ptolemaic Empire has its own color because it's a kind of an independent state, but Bosporan Kingdom is already in green, so it's our color. And the reason for that is that we are basically in charge of everything. You can see in tooltip, I will slow down a bit. You can see that this is Epirus Federation, but in the brackets is Bosporan Kingdom. The same here. So these are really Bosporan Kingdom units, and we can control how they move. We can build their facilities. So we also control economy, and we are basically in charge of everything. It seems like this player doesn't play anymore. That would be not the right that would be not the right image of what the federation is, because the player in this case Bosporan Kingdom is still there, and he's kind of observing. He's dormant, but he's observing how we treat his part of the of the country, or the part of the super state which belongs to him. So he's not here. You cannot really see him. The only way how you can see him is that he's having still his banner here, and he also has the attitude indicator, but he doesn't do anything. There are a number of factors which the AI player always consider, and what matters in a way that they will stay in the federation or they will revoke it. It's the list of the factors is pretty long, but I would just say I would just explain the most important ones. So the first one is the happiness itself, which means that the part of the country of the member of the federation partner should be happy. That's the first thing, and ideally it should be even more happy than our part. If his part is not as happy as our part, it's a minus. It's not a big minus, but it's already a minus for us. Then a very important thing is the security of this part of the super state. So if the people feel safe and not threatened by anyone, then again it's good for the master, in this case us, and the other way around. Then it also considers, or the AI player considers, if the economy is growing. So it means that if we build roads, if we build fields, if we build blacksmiths, if the city sizes are increasing. So number of factors here is quite big. And it wouldn't make sense to go through all of them, but there is a very simple way how you should know if it's good or not good. You should treat your partner as you would like the partner treat you, which means if you will not take advantage of this part of your super state, so you will, for example, not just build or recruit units in this part of the super state, but you will do it everywhere. You will keep both parts on the same level of, let's say, safety, and you will improve the infrastructure in the same way. Then they will almost for 100% not revoke the federation. If you will try to take advantage of this let's say, it's a big plus for you that you have now a bigger country. But if you will try to just take advantage of it, so you will basically just try to get the resources and not build anything, then the AI player will find out, and he will eventually revoke that. So that's the federation. If there are any questions, then just ask. The last option we can do is so-called annexation. Annexation is not really a real relationship, because annexation mean that that once the player agrees on that, then it means that he simply is happy to leave everything on us, and he disappears from the game, which means that he trusts us so much that he forward all the power to our hands. This is the way. This is the only way how you can peacefully reduce the number of players in game. There is also the other way around, because the number of players can also increase back, and it's due to civil war. It's not something I would like to cover today, but basically, just in short, um, if one of the players, it doesn't have to be you, all the events are happening also for AI, but if one of the players doesn't treat its people well, then and the local happiness is going lower, then it might happen that there is a revolt, and from this revolt raise a new player, which is basically like a civil war, and this player starts playing on his own. So that's the absorption. I will just briefly also cover the army moral. So army moral is a concept which is bound to every player independently, which means army moral is not something what we have for the whole army or all the units. It's based on the player we are fighting against. So you can see there is the indicator, and it says army moral of Epirus towards Roman Republic is average. If we will, not sure if there is another faction which we have a really low. You can see that with Celtic tribes, the army moral is below average. Army moral we also covered in the last stream, so I'm not going too deep into this. But why I'm actually saying this is that the army moral itself has also an impact on the diplomacy. It's because of if we are negotiating anything with the partner or opponent, then the army moral also plays its role, because once we know that our armies don't want to fight against a particular enemy, then we know that we are in a position we cannot really demand too much, and the other way around. So if the Roman Republic knows that the army moral of their army is strong, then they know that they are in a powerful position, in a strong position, and they can demand more. So the army moral itself also plays a very important role in diplomacy. So that's basically first part of this stream. The second part is focused on the AI, because there were a lot of questions related to how the AI works, what it takes into consideration, and how the AI behaves when certain things are happening. So I that's why I also wanted to cover it in this stream, because it's related to diplomacy. So what are the AI behaviors effectors? Let's call it effectors, because I'm not sure if there is a better word for it. Basically, those are the actions which the AI consider important, and tweak the attitude towards us, or the relationship. So the simple fact is that every positive or negative change has an impact on the relationship. So if we will declare war to the opponent, of course it will deteriorate the attitude. On the other way, if we will sign peace, it will straight away a bit improve the relationship, and the opponent will like us a bit more. Then it's also about treaties. So if I will, for example, sign a treaty with RDA, then and they will agree on that, then it will increase a bit the relationship. I forgot to say one thing, that all in this game is turn-based. It's a pure turn-based strategy, which means that even the diplomacy is turn-based. Once we ask for or offer something, you can see that it says treaty offered, and now our delegates were sent to RDA, and they will come back next turn with the answer or with the reaction of this player. So treaties themselves are also very beneficial for maintaining a healthy relationship with your opponents. More you sign upon, the better. So it's not just I have some kind of treaty. It's also about what treaty do you have, and also how long do you have it. So it's also all about trust. Um, okay. Um, Then the other thing which is very important for maintaining a healthy relationship is trade. Trading itself is kind of a best way how you can secure your peaceful relationship, because trading itself is beneficial for both opponents, and also it constantly, maybe just in a minor values, but it constantly improves the relationship itself. So more you trade, basically we can say more you trade, the better relationships you have. So these are the simple factors, but let's get to a bit more advanced. Um Even when you offer something to AI player, the AI player respond in a certain way. Let's say the AI player reject. You offer a treaty, and AI player reject. There are players who keep sending the same offer to the AI um, till the AI player sign it, or the player simply gets a bit upset about it, and after 5 turns he stopped sending the same all over. This Even the rejection itself also changes the relationship. You can imagine that you have relationship, and your opponent keeps sending you the same question all over again, which is indeed very annoying, which means that they don't respect your opinion, and once you do it, every time you do it, the more unhappy or more angry the opponent is. So please, if you play the game like that, don't do that, because this simply deteriorate the relationship between you and your opponent, and they will simply, or he will not sign it. Also, one of the things I'm not sure if I covered last time, it's called influencing cities. What it does is that you send people to the city, and they try to influence the citizens. So they will start revolting, initiate rebellions in that city against their master. In this case, you can see that this is a Roman Republic city, and I can influence this city. It costs some resources. Once I do that, it also worsens the relationship, because if the same happens to you, you will also get the notification Roman Republic tried to influence your city. So it worsens the relationship, and if we succeed, which means right now I executed the action once, and I can try it again. Okay, I don't have any more resources, but if I will look at the tooltip, you can see that this is all. This is on the third place. I forgot to mention that if you want to know, if you want to see what are the biggest factors or affectors which had an impact on your relationship with particular opponent, then you hover over the attitude, and you will see 5 most important impacts on that relationship in last couple of turns. So you can see that there is new member joined our federation, war declared, and inciting unrest through influence. This is exactly what wasn't there before we before we tried to influence the Roman city, but now it's there because they are getting angry because we are trying to influence their cities. Similar impact has also sieges. Sieges are a military technique you can use to conquer an enemy city. The advantage of it is that it's simpler, and also you don't risk any casualties. The problem is that this is considered a dishonorable military technique, and basically all the players which are not part of this siege, so they are not contributing to the siege, or they are in the defensive or brothers in arms pacts. Consider you to be not worth their friendliness, and the relationship will deteriorate because of your sieges. More you siege, the worse. Um, Similarly, you can see that if we will go to the tooltip again, you can see that there is also new member joined our federation. This is because of we just a couple of turns back, we signed this federation with Bosporan Kingdom, and because of Bosporan Kingdom in that time was in a good relationship with Roman Republic. Roman Republic considered us better because we incorporated Bosporan Kingdom, which was his ally or friend. Similarly to confederations and the other way around, which means that if we would have a federation with a player, they were in war and the relationship was bad, it would even worse the relationship. Couple of other things I will just touch briefly. Again, absorbing another player has an impact on the relationship. So if we absorb a player, then all the enemies of this player will consider us a bit less friendly, because we simply made those people who they hated to our own country, which means that we have partially citizens from these enemies of the opponent. There are also rules like absolute enemy, which basically means that enemy of the bigger the country is, and more dominant the country is, the more insecure the other players feel, and then they might create some kind of alliance against you. It's not a rule, so it means some players do create such an alliance, but some of them, which might be very close to you, will not join this alliance at all. Another thing is that if your friend or you attack a friend of a country, then this country will like you less. Or if the country doesn't feel secure, then they will look for protection, and they will deliberately try to be friendly with you, so you will eventually be their ally and they will protect you. There is a number of things. I cannot really go through all of them because the number of factors is right now more than 40. I just wanted to cover the most important ones. But if you want to know more, I'm pretty sure that we can discuss it on the forums, like Steam forum. Because I would like to move on to the next part, which is the AI personality. Many of the players ask what shapes the decisions of the AI, and I would like to cover it here. The first thing is the difficulty, the AI difficulty. So if we start the new game, then you can see that there is this game difficulty drop down list, which starts in noob and ends in legendary. This is for the whole game, but every player has also so-called AI player difficulty, and this AI player difficulty has impact on a number of things. The first one is how well the player uses its resources, and how aggressive the player is, which means basically if the player is playing on medium or easy or noob, then he's kind of focusing on his own land and doesn't really look behind the borders. But if you will set like a heroic, a legendary, these players are very aggressive and they are trying to expand as quickly as they can. So with this in mind, you can basically start our campaign scenario, and you can choose that you want to change these settings because they are already set by default to the right values. But if you would like to try a game where you don't want the cartridge to be so aggressive, you just change it to one of these values, and you will see a very different setup pretty much straight away, because this is extremely important part of the AI decision making. The next thing is that every player has two indicators of the relationship. It's called short-term and long-term relation, and short-term is something what is changing pretty quickly and has a bit less impact on the decision making, on the long-term decision making, and the long-term is something what is changing very long time, so it's shaping through the whole game. The player is basically getting to know you, and this is the way he remembers what has happened before. So if you, for example, cowardly declare him war, or you are in alliance with this player and then you cowardly cancel the alliance and attack straight away, so declare war and even attack straight away, he will remember that. So it means that he might eventually, not only that the relationship itself, the attitude will be absolutely down to zero, but also even you sign the peace and you will see that this bar attitude is going up, then it doesn't mean that it's all. This attitude bar shows the short-term relationship, which means how he behaves. It's from our perspective, you can just imagine that you have a meeting, or how it's called, how to call it, and you meet this delegation and you talk to them and they seem friendly. That's what it's, this attitude. But their let's say hidden motivation might be totally different, and that's the long-term indicator. The next thing related to the AI personality is the willingness of subordination. Basically, what it means is that there are players who are willing to join or be the member of our super states more easily than the others. The superpowers in our scenario, it might be very different for scenarios created by modders. But in our scenario, Italy, let me show you the whole map now. So in this scenario, the Roman Republic and Carthage and partially also Ptolemaic Empire are not willing to subordinate easily. So if you really want to pursue them to join your superstate, you really need to be strong, and you also need to have a very good attitude. We can look at here and you can see that our attitude is almost at 100%. And that's also the reason why they are willing to stay or be part of this superstate with us. This willingness of subordination is defined on the global level. So it means that that it can be defined only for let's say we talk about Roman Republic. So we can set that the Roman Republic doesn't want to subordinate to anyone. And we can also define it in the level of relationship. So we can say this is the part of the map where Massilia was based initially, and you can see that Massilia is already gone. It was annexed by Roman Empire, and the reason is that Massilia has this value set to a much higher value, which means that they are willing to subordinate to the Roman Republic. The specific these numbers are preset, so you cannot change it in the game, and this also shapes the behavior of AI. The next thing, which is also important, is something what we can think about as a cultural difference. If there are two players who are culturally similar, so let's let's stay here. So for example, the Epirus Kingdom, we are Epirus Kingdom, and the Ptolemaic Empire, because both are kind of Greek-based players. Then their culture is pretty close to each other, and if we conquer one of these cities of the Ptolemaic Empire, then the culture is close, so the loyalty of the newly conquered city is also not that low. If we would conquer a city of one of the tribes, like these Dacian tribes or German tribes, which were somewhere here, then the loyalty will be much lower because of the cultural differences are huge. So this is also kind of preset in the scenario and shapes how the computer player or AI player thinks about what are his targets, because it's definitely easier for the AI player to conquer a part or another player who is similar in the cultural perspective to his own people. Okay, and there are two more things I would like to cover regarding the AI personality. It's called revenge and preparation for war. It can happen to you when you play the game that that the AI player you lead a military campaign against the AI player, and the AI player is not doing well, and he asks for a peace. If he asks for a peace, then it's almost for sure that he knows that it's not going well. But it doesn't mean, once you sign the peace, it doesn't mean that you are okay with this player, because it might happen that they will bring from this war a revenge feeling, and this revenge feeling might last for decades. So even after 20-30 turns, this may come up on the surface again, and they might declare you war again. So what this revenge factor is, it's one of the hidden factors you cannot see, which means that even if I would sign peace with the Roman Republic, with which I'm in war with now, then I wouldn't see it in the attitude, I wouldn't see it in the tooltips, because it's a hidden factor, and they are keeping this for themselves. And once there is a good time for that, it will come back to the surface. This revenge feeling eventually disappear. So it slowly deteriorates or decreases the value till it's getting really to zero. But first of all, you don't know how big this revenge feeling was. So you don't know, you don't basically know if there is any revenge or not. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that that the length of this deterioration varies a lot. So you should be very careful about that, because once you think that you can move your units to the other front line, they might basically they might start conquering your rear. The last thing in AI personality is the preparation for war. So AI player also tries to simulate how the human player would play, and it's so-called preparation for war. So they don't declare the war and then just do nothing. They might like accumulate certain number of units before they attack, and they also know that you might see partially behind the borders, so they are trying to accumulate these forces a bit further from the borders, so you might not see them. So this is basically the diplomacy, and now I will get to the third part of the stream, which is the trade routes and trading. I don't see anything what is meant for me, which means I'm pretty sure that Surtur, Harimadora, and maybe Cable Nexus already answered all the things, so I will just continue. So trade routes. Trade routes are extremely important part of the game. The reason is that sooner or later, if you will play on a higher difficulty, you will get to a situation when you need a particular resource and you simply don't have that. Uh, Excuse me. So trade routes might be very helpful here, and it's not just the resources you might get out of this trading, but also it can improve the relationship, like I already said before. So how does it work? First thing is that to be able to trade, you need to have so-called trade route. Trade route is a connection between one of your cities to one of the city of the opponent. And so to be able to have this trade route, you need to see at least one city of your opponent, and opponent needs to see at least one city of yours. That's extremely important because um, that's when the city visibility comes up. So if you cannot trade, it will simply show you in this trading window here. It will says there is no trade route. Then the best first thing you should do is to sign the city visibility treaty, which will ensure you that both parties of this potential trading knows where to send their traders to. This trade route is something what you don't decide on your own. It's created automatically. Uh, we can also see the trade routes in the political map. So you can see that we have right now 5 different trade routes. We have one trade route to the RDA. You can also see in the tooltip that it says trade route established. And below this line, there is also the list of all the resources we are trading. So you can see that we are trading stones, wood, gold, and coal. And we are getting, well, we are basically getting these resources, and we are sending to RDA iron. We have also the trade route with Carthage. We don't trade, but we have a trade route. We also have trade route with Ptolemaic Empire. We trade something, but not much. And we have trade route with the Dacian tribes, not trading anything, and with the Pontus, not trading anything. These trade routes are created automatically, and you cannot really impact that. It calculates all possible options and selects the let's say the most beneficial one for you. The benefit is calculated out of the trade loss. So what is trade loss? Trade loss is basically a number in percentage of how much of the resources you are sending to your business partner are lost on the way, or how much you actually pay out of these goods to execute this trade. So if I will go to the trade overview window, you can see that there is a trade loss and risk of robbery. Trade loss is 6%. Which means that we lost on the way 6% of all the goods we are trading, which is 6 iron. In that case, we are actually not sending 6 iron, but we are sending 6.06. Oh, sorry, 6. Well, basically 6% more of the iron, and the opponent RDA will get 6 iron, but we are actually sending more than that. That's the trade loss. Trade loss is based on a number of things. The first one is the distance. The second thing is the let's say how easy is it to transfer the goods through that tile. So if you would have trade route through the hills, it's much worse because the trade loss is higher than sending it through the plains or grassland. Very cheap and safe is to use the rivers. So if we would, for example, travel from Philippopolis, then the trade route would definitely go through the rivers and then across the sea to our business partner. Also, the roads and paved roads are very important. So once you have roads and paved roads, it decreases the trade loss. So you can see that the trade loss is basically something what you have to pay, and the longer and more difficult the trade path is for the traders, the more you pay extra. This is the way we ensure that you really prefer to trade with partners which are not far away, which makes definitely, I think, makes sense. Um, then there is a second indicator called trade risk of robbery. Risk of robbery depends on the number of tiles which are not owned, which means that if we would trade with someone, let's say we would be in peace with Roman Empire and we would trade with them, then it would probably go to one of these two cities, and there would be pretty much no risk of robbery at all because we are going through our land and his land. But if we have the trade route through the tiles which are not owned, which are sea tiles, or the unknown tiles. I'm not sure if there are any more unknown tiles in this map. Yeah, here is for example the unknown type. So if the trade route would go like that, there would be a higher risk of robbery. The trade lots itself is based on the tiles through which the trade route goes, but the trade route is recalculated every turn. The reason for that is that it might change. If we, for example, are in the war with Roman Empire, okay. What can happen is that the Roman player will add a boat. It's our boat. Okay, we can. So if this happens, the next turn, this trade route, which you can see now that there is an active trade, it will change. It will recalculate the trade, and it will go around that particular unit. But if the Roman Republic will block both of these tiles, there will be no way how we can use this sea trade route, and the trade route will simply change. It will change, and once the trade route change, it always means that the trade loss is going. The trade loss is value is increased. Once it's increased, then the benefit of the trade might be lower, and that's why when you sign the trade, there is a so-called trade stop limit. So let's go to the trade window. So this is the trade window, and how it works, how the trade works is that it's basically an exchange of a set of your resources for a set of resources of the opponent. So what we do basically is that we offer what is below our name, which is Epirus, and we want whatever is below the name of the opponent. So let's say we need gold. Let's say we are out of gold and we need gold. So what we do, we will click on this icon of gold, and we will say how much gold we want. It's very important to understand that this is not one way of trade. This trade usually lasts for many turns. You can set for how long do you want to have a trade. It's called trade length. You can also have one-off trade if you set it to 1, but it's not something. Basically, AI player and definitely prefers to have trades with lower values or lower amounts and longer ones. So let's say we want 3 gold per turn, and we can give them on return something from our resources, from our stockpile. Once you hover over these items, you can see that how much you have, or you can also see what is the surplus of this particular resource type. And you can click on that and select how much will we send our opponent or business partner per turn. Before we do that, I would like to say that there are a number of different types of negotiation you can use, because whatever you choose, it doesn't end up here. It's actually the start when the negotiation begins, and now it's about the offer and demand. So when we have something selected only on the part of our business partner or trading partner, there are 2 options. The first one is the open request. Open request basically means that we tell Arden, okay, we want 3 gold, and you can choose whatever you want from the resources we basically from all the resources we have. That's the first option. The second option is the exchange demand, which basically mean we ask for tribute because we are asking for free gold per turn, but we are not giving anything back in return. If we will choose something on our side as well, so let's choose free coal, and you can see that the negotiation types have changed. You can see that there is offer my proposal. What is my offer my proposal? You can imagine it like we uh, we have enough resource. Let's say in this case coal, and we want something in return, and we want gold, but we are not sure how much is the coal for our business partner important. So we say, okay, we will give you free coal. How much gold will you give us? Uh, and we basically click on that button, and the RDA will come up with a proposal, how much of this gold he's willing to give us for free coal. There are two ways how the AI will respond. The first one is he will basically reject it. It means that he's not interested in this trade at all, whatever numbers, whatever amount we choose or select. Or he will tweak or adjust this value, and he will say, okay, I'm willing to give you not free gold per turn, but I will give you for free coal, free items of coal. I will give you 1 gold, and it's up to us if we will decide to accept this trade offer or reject it. Then there on the other side is counter proposal, which is basically something like we definitely need free gold. We need free gold, not 2 or 1, and we are able to give you uh, certain amount of coal. What we choose here as a number is the maximum number we are willing to give you for free gold. So this is also a negotiation, but a bit different type, which basically mean it's something like an eBay system. So if you basically choose the highest amount you are willing to pay for a certain item. In this case, for gold. So AI player doesn't see this number. He just knows that you want to specify how much coal does he want for this amount of gold, and he will choose a number. Once the number is lower than the coal, than the number of what we have chosen, then the trade is accepted or signed. Once he chooses or says that he wants more, it's automatically rejected. Basically, what it means is that we are sending to his country traders, and they know how much they can in max spend for this trade or offer in this trade. And if the opponent RDA wants more, we know that we cannot afford it because our orders were this is the maximum price. So it's a bit similar to the eBay system. Most of you are probably familiar with. Then there is this exchange demand. Basically, it means we want to sign this trade, and we don't want to negotiate. It might work. The problem is that every time you use it, it deteriorates the relationship because you are not willing to negotiate, and it's not respectful to your business partner. So they might be able to accept it, but it also would mean that they kind of see that you don't respect their own wishes. And if we will do it the other way, which means that we will select a number of resources on our side, and we will leave all the resources of our opponent empty, then there are two options. The first one is the gift, which basically means, yeah, we will give you every turn 10 coal for free. So we might support basically him if he's our ally, or we want to improve our relationship, which really works. So if you want to improve your relationship during the game with anyone, try to send him gifts. One thing I would like to point out, because also some players ask this question, is if it really matters what you send. If it's like a binary operation that you send something and they are like, yeah, great, this is a gift, or they really weight the gift. I can ensure you they weight the gift, and they weight it according to their own needs. So if they are in lack of gold and you send them gold, for them they appreciate it much more than if you send them, I don't know, food, and they have enough food. I'm not sure if I'm still online. Yeah, it seems like I am. Just uh, and there is the last part of the trade, which is the free offer, which is the same I already talked about before, and it means that we are able to trade 10 coal. What would you give us in return? So these are all the different negotiation types which we can use. And now I would just point out that here is also the trade stop limit. The trade stop limit, I already covered it a bit, is the limit of the trade loss when the trade is automatically cancelled. So you basically say, okay, this trade is makes sense only when the trade stop limit will be lower than